Hi class, this is Miss Taylor. Just hoping you guys are having a good little coronavirus break. I know that it's a little bit difficult right now, but today we are going to be talking about fractions. So these are the materials that you need. I'm going to tell you the materials and then you can pause the video and then go get your materials and then come right back. So the materials you're going to need is you're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need some kind of circular dessert. If you don't have a circular dessert, you can cut out a circle of a piece of paper. So today I bought a cookie. These were cookies that me and my grandma made. So I got an oatmeal cookie. And with your parents' permission and supervision, you're going to need a butter knife. You can get a plastic one, or you can use a fork, or you can just use your hands. But make sure if you use a butter knife, you have your parents' permission. And then you're going to need a pencil. And if you have it, this is just kind of an extra activity. You're going to need 4 quarters and you're going to need $1 bill. Now, if you don't have this, that's okay. This will be probably more of a visual representation. All right, so we're going to talk about what a fraction is. So a fraction is one number over the other, and they kind of work together as a part and a whole. So a fraction looks like this. So if you can see, you can write that down. This is what a fraction is going to look like. It's one number over another number. Now, it could be the same number, and it could be a different number. When you have the same number over each other, that equals 1. So it makes sense. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So this cookie right here, we have one whole cookie. So we can write down the number 1. There's no fraction that goes with it because it's just the number 1. But what if I told you that we want to cut the cookie in half? So we go from having one piece to, you're going to have to split it. Now we have 2 pieces. Isn't that cool? So now, instead of having one piece, we have 2 pieces over 2 pieces. See how that's the same thing as 1? Because when you have these 2 pieces, 2 out of 2 pieces, and you put them together, that's still going to equal 1. And that's where the one number over the same number is always going to equal 1. So we have these 2. So the bottom number is the whole number, and the top number is the part. So it's part to whole. Remember how we talked about that? So now, what if I told you that I'm going to eat this piece of the cookie? Now what would it be? Go ahead and take a second, pause the video, and write it down. Okay, what's your answer? Is it 1/2? Well, very good if it is. So we took away one piece of cookie, but we started with 2, and that's how fractions work. So you start with 1, which is the whole, and then you give or take some, which is the part. So that equals 1/2. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. Now let's cut these pieces into halves again. So if we have the 1/2, and then we're just going to half it again. This is why you got to have your parents' permission, because even I'm making a mess. So now we have 4 pieces. So I want you to take a guess to see what the bottom number, the denominator, will be in this equation. Or I guess just in this fraction. So go ahead and take a second, write it down. We're just trying to figure out what the bottom number is. Okay, now if you think you have it, keep the number in your head, and I'm going to tell you the number. So the number at the bottom, the denominator, should be number 4. Because your whole number now turned into 4 pieces of cookie. So then you're going to put a line over it, and we have all of the pieces of cookie, which is why the same number 4 is going over top. Now remember how we went back before and we said that 1 was the same as the same number, top and bottom? That's still the case here. We didn't change the value of the cookie. We just changed how many pieces we cut into it. And that's something that you really have to think about, because as you go on to later grades, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, your teachers are going to automatically assume that you remember. And this is just a visual why you remember that. Okay, so we have all the pieces of cookies here. We'll just pretend like they did all fit at one time. So we have our cookie. Now say I'm going to eat this piece. Okay, how many pieces is that? So if we were to do that in fraction form, so if all 4 pieces is 4/4, then shouldn't one piece be 1/4? I think you're right. So let's write 1/4. So this is what our equation should look like right now. From there, so say how many pieces of cookie are left. So when we try to figure out how many pieces of cookies are left, what do we use? Subtraction. Very good. So we're going to subtract, and then we're going to equal. Now we remember that when you have the same number on top and the bottom, it just equals 1, right? But what if I told you that if you have the same number on the bottom and different numbers on the top, you just subtract straight across? Isn't that crazy? So we have 4/4 minus 1/4. So we have the same number on the bottom, so we're going to keep it like that. We're not going to subtract the bottom because that's just going to equal 1. So we're going to put 4 on the bottom, like this. And I just told you subtract straight across. So what are we going to do? 4 minus 1. Very good. So what's 4 minus 1? 3. Awesome. Okay. So now we have 3/4 left, which is 3/4 left of the cookie. How many pieces do we have? How many pieces did we start with of the cookie? 4. Very good. And how many pieces do we have left? 1, 2, 3. 4/4 minus 1/4 equals 1, 2, 3/4. So that's kind of how that works. All right, so now we're going to do addition. So we'll say that Mrs. Taylor had 2/4 of a cookie. So we have 2. Okay, so let's write down that on our paper. So Mrs. Taylor had 2/4 of a cookie, which is the same as 1/2. And we're going to say that our classmate also had 2/4 of a cookie. This is the other 2/4 over here. So when we add those, we're going to add plus 2/4. Now remember when we said that when you subtract 2 numbers and the bottom number are the same, you don't change anything. That's the same for addition. So the bottom number is still going to be 4 because we're keeping it the same. And then the top number, we just, like subtraction, we just add straight across. So 2 plus 2 equals what? 4. Very good. And 4/4, what's that the same as? That have been pounded in your head that you're going to know for 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. Very good. That equals 1 whole cookie. So watch this. Mrs. Taylor had 2/4 cookie. A friend had 2/4 cookie. Now watch. When I put it together, that's a full cookie. That's still going to equal 1. So you guys are doing a really, really, really good job at this. And it's an easy concept, especially when you have the same denominators. Now, it gets a little bit more tricky whenever you have different denominators because then you have to find what we call the least common multiple and the greatest common factor, and then everything just gets confusing. But when you have this base, this is where you can really, you can start to use this in different world examples. So I'm going to show you another world example. If you have your dollar, get it out. So we have our dollar here. Oh, and whenever you're finished with this lesson, you can go ahead and eat your cookie too, or your dessert, whatever it is. Your parents can email me about it. All right, so we have this dollar right here, right? Now, does anybody know how many quarters are in a dollar? Very good. We have 4 quarters. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters right here. That equals $1. So we can get rid of this dollar. We can just set it off to the side because we know that 4 is $1. So when we have 4 quarters in total, that's going to be our denominator, remember? 4 quarters in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our bottom number, right? So let's go ahead and write that down. Even if you don't have the 4 quarters, that's our bottom number. So $1 equals 1, 2, 3, 4 of those quarters. So that's 4 over 4. See that? And that equals $1, which is the same thing as it equaling one whole. One whole dollars equals 4 out of the 4 quarters, okay? Now let's take away a quarter. That now goes from 4 over 4. So now how many quarters do we have left? 1, 2, 3. And we started with how many? 4. So how many cents does that equal? 25, 50, 75 cents. Which is 3/4 of a dollar. Now let's take away another one. So we're now left with how many quarters? 2. So let's write 2. What was our number that we started with? 4. This is now 50 cents. We know that 50 cents is half of a dollar, right? So can't we say that if a number is half, if the numerator is half the denominator, isn't that just equal to 1/2? I mean, think of it with the cookie. We had 2/4 of the cookie. I had 2/4 of a cookie. Then my classmate had 2/4 of a cookie. That was 1/2 of the cookie, right? 4 over 4 equals 1. When you add or subtract with the same numbers, you're going to add or subtract straight across and leave the bottom number the same. Great work today, guys. I will be back with another video probably here in a few days. So have a good day.